In this video, we're going to be doing a teardown of a Sony Vaio VGN-AW series laptop. We'll be replacing the spinning hard drive with an SSD, removing the old CMOS battery, repasting the GPU and CPU, and finally giving a tour of the factory Windows Vista installation. But first, some history and specs. The AW series were very high-end desktop replacement laptops released by Sony in 2008. There were 3 overall variants. You had your low-end in titanium gray, your high-end in matte black, then the top spec premium piano black with a glossy lid and chrome trim and a rubber leather-like palm rest. Now there's an exception on models sold in the US and Japan where you may see more of a mix of hardware. For example, I also have a titanium gray low-end US model, has a subwoofer, 1080p screen, compact flash reader, the top-end graphics card, normally only available in higher-end models. The RGB LED screens, however, were always exclusive only to the piano black top spec models. All models came with an 18.4-inch screen, with low-end models having a 1680 by 965 resolution screen. Everything else getting a 1080p screen, but differences in the backlight. You got either CCFL, dual CCFL, or the top spec with RGB LED. For graphics, you either got a 256 megabyte GeForce 9300M GS or 9600 GT 512 megabyte. Processors were an Intel Core 2 Duo, either the P or T series. There's a hardware mod that you can do that'll let you use a quad-core CPU. For memory, you can get up to 8 gigabytes between your 2 DDR2 slots. For storage, there are dual hard drive bays. Some models allowed you to run your drives in RAID mode. And there was an option on the top spec model to run a dual SSD that ran in RAID but only used up a single hard drive bay. Weighing in at up to 8.8 pounds, it was about 17.25 by 11.25 by 1.5 inch thick. For operating system, you can either get Windows Vista Home Premium or Ultimate, with later models coming with Windows 7. The AW series is somewhat rare today. Even the low-end specs are pretty uncommon, with people listing the top spec piano black model for over $1,000. So let's take a look at the laptop. We have our premium piano black top spec model with its glossy lid. Here's the low-end model with its titanium gray lid. There's also a high-end model with a matte black lid. Opening the lid, we can see another feature exclusive to the premium piano black model. You can see it looks like it's got a leather wrist rest along the bottom. It's actually made out of rubber. It feels pretty nice and it hasn't degraded over time. Our keyboard with number pad, fingerprint reader. Some pretty cool touch and media shortcut keys. I'll show those more later. Our big 18.4-inch screen with webcam. A quick side-by-side with the titanium model. Nice contrast with our black keyboard. We still got our touch buttons, our fingerprint reader, but no rubber, fake leather wrist rest. So now let's take a look at the ports. Up front, we have memory stick and SD card readers, a toggle switch for our Wi-Fi, and our activity lights. On the side, an optical out, microphone out, 2 USB jacks, our DVD drive. On this cover, mine's broken here, our Ethernet and dial-up modem ports. Along the back, nothing but the battery. On the other side, you can see we have a lot of nice chrome trim here. We have our power jack, CPU exhaust, USB port, VGA out, HDMI out, express card slot, a rare compact flash reader, and then our iLink FireWire port. Let's take a quick look at an optional accessory for the AW series, a portable display hood. Aimed at artists and photographers, it can be set up to enclose the laptop screen to give more accurate color and contrast and reduce glare and reflections. So now let's get started with the teardown, beginning by removing the battery. Next, a single screw covering the dual hard drive bays. Let's remove our hard drive. Caddy is held in by 3 screws. We do have a second empty caddy. The owner left the hard drive screws for me. In the lower end model, it's missing the second SATA port, so you can't even connect a second drive. I guess I didn't pay attention whether it had the connector on the motherboard, so if you got the ribbon cable, if you could add a second drive. And here's our hard drive. Next, let's take a look under this cover where we have our memory. And we have 2 sticks of 2 GB DDR2. And now to remove the rest of the screws from the bottom, you'll want to keep track. There's 2 different sizes in the battery area, some different sizes in the hard drive area, larger hinge screws. Just pointing out here that in the 4 corners there should be longer screws in this hard drive bay, but I'm missing one on mine. We'll need to remove the empty hard drive caddy as well. And now we can move the bottom cover, starting by prying up in the corner and noting that it is connected to the motherboard for the subwoofer. It's going to work best to slide it to the right to get around the different ports. We need to make sure we remove the blank from the compact flash reader too first. So now we twist the cover to the side, then we can easily unplug the subwoofer through the memory door. There's our subwoofer. So next, let's take a quick close-up of the motherboard. Now let's remove the old CMOS battery. This is the type that can leak and do damage to the motherboard, so I want to get rid of this. Since we have easy access, let's repaste the GPU and CPU. Under this plate, we have the GPU. 4 screws are on the CPU. Disconnecting the CPU cooler fan. Next, we can move this metal plate, then the CPU. Mine was a little stuck down, needed to pry and twist a little bit. Some pretty hard thermal paste here to clean off with some isopropyl alcohol. Now it's all clean, some new paste for the CPU and GPU. Now to reinstall the CPU cooler, I like to start each screw and then tighten them down fully across from each other. Next, the plate over the GPU and its screw, and then to reconnect the CPU cooler. Reinstalling the bottom cover, connecting the subwoofer first. I think it's easier to do it now than when the cover's on. And then sliding the cover on, starting with the ports on the right. And finally, we just reinstall all of our screws. Now let's swap out that old spinning hard drive for an SSD, just being held in by 4 screws. With this hard drive door and then the battery, our reassembly is complete. Now I didn't record it, but I did replace the back lid on one of my models. Interesting to see there's dual speakers on each side. Got a bunch of pictures here that might be useful reference. You can do the same if you just need to replace the panel or the inverter. I was able to do this without fully removing the screen from the laptop. I did have to remove the screws from the hinges to give me just enough slack. There's 2 screws at the bottom holding the bezel on, and there's just no way to get to them otherwise without that extra slack. Otherwise they're blocked by the power jack or the power button. So now let's take a tour of the laptop, starting with the BIOS. And now we're in the Windows Vista factory installation. It shows the Vaio startup assistant here. Get us connected to the internet. Set up security software, our fingerprint reader, antivirus, some other Sony offers, register a computer, and then transfer backups. Vista welcome screen. Now this is a 1080p screen, so it's a bit small, so I'll adjust it to 720p. Before looking at the software, let's take a look at those capacitive touch buttons. Shortcut 1, which toggles between full and half brightness. Shortcut 2 opens our Dolby sound setup. These shortcut keys can be configured. And now just playing with those capacitive touch buttons. Media buttons. AV mode opens up a toolbar along the top of the screen, an app launcher. Checking the installed applications. First, we have the Vaio Content Exporter. This is the first time I've seen this application. We can add in our files, then choose our media codec, our quality. We can export it either to a file, a disk, or a memory stick or media player. Next, the Vaio Control Center app. This is kind of like the old Vaio Settings app, although we can't configure any BIOS settings. We do get some system statistics. Then a lot of the other settings are more just shortcuts to different Windows settings. Here under special buttons, we can configure those S1 and S2 keyboard keys. And so our default for S1 was brightness, but we have a lot of different options. The launcher, this is a toolbar that opens on the top of the screen when you hit the AV button, and you can configure which applications are shown. Vaio Media Plus is a media player. It has an interface like the cross-media bar that you see on the PlayStation, some DVD players.
I know you told your friend you'd look away, but I've known you too long, it hurts to hear.
Build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry.
Vaio Movie Story. This is the first time I've seen this application as well. I guess it kind of replaces the Movie Shaker. It's your basic video editor. It does have a little intro movie we can watch. Vaio Music Box is an interesting music player. seems to rely on tagging. It doesn't seem to have any kind of obvious way to scrub through the song. It does have an interesting chorus mode that only plays the chorus of the song and then skips to the next track. It doesn't seem to work too well on my songs though.
Never said you felt that way.
29 and I find myself wondering what did I
Vaio Care. This is a program you'll see on pretty much all future Vaios. It's fairly simple in this version. Quick system check, then some troubleshooting. It's going to run some diagnostics. It seems to have similar output to the old standalone Vaio Diagnostics app. Next, the Recovery Center. Here we can reinstall programs and drivers, restore just the C drive, restore the entire computer, wipe the drive, most importantly, create recovery disks. Three DVDs for this system. Newer Vaios typically have the option to do USB. Want to make sure you create these and upload to archive.org. Next, a quick sound demo with Windows Media Player, testing out those 4 drivers and built-in subwoofer.
Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure.
I know you told your friend you're not okay. But watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away.
And finally, let's take a look at our computer properties. But that's it. Thanks for watching.